Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Courtney here.
Mike Babcock here.
And Charles.
So, I was fascinated by Joe Rogan's little sit down with Sanjay Gupta because
Hold on, you can't call it a little sit down.
Yeah,
They talked for
3
3
hours.
hours. Okay, that's a big old sit
Okay,
down.
fair
Right.
enough. But it was so interesting because what's happened in the media now is one side just vilifies the other.
Yep.
And you can never have a discussion, and all people are doing is digging in deeper with their position. This felt way more civilized, but there were clear disagreements with Joe and Sanjay.
I agree, but it was only civilized because of Sanjay Gupta.
Yes.
Joe Rogan was Joe Rogan, as he always is, and said all of the things that Joe Rogan believes, and very staunchly said it. And no matter what Sanjay Gupta very
It
calmly...
was still civilized.
It was civilized only because Sanjay didn't fight back.
But that's not on Joe. That's
when
on the person on the opposite
I got it.
side
And
of the
listen,
table.
I'm all for having a civilized conversation. Not at this moment, but aside from this moment, I'm all for having a civilized conversation. And I think that's great. I just don't know what really came out of it at the end.
Okay.
Nothing.
No,
Sanjay
hold on.
lost.
Hold on. You say
Joe
nothing.
Rogan feels
hold
the
on.
same way he does
you
about
say-
vaccines. Hold on.
you-
We should say what they were talking about is whether or not to be vaccinated. That was the heart of what they were talking about.
But it's not about changing Joe Rogan's mind. Joe Rogan has a giant audience.
And it's
this
that
is what we
audience
need.
that
and
we care
Joe
about.
Rogan's audience goes as Joe Rogan
No,
goes.
not true,
because
Charles, that's
because
Really? Ask all the people standing in line for ivermectin.
let me tell you-
Ivermectin.
Well, hold on.
You okay there?
Because Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta traded information that you don't hear that way, and there
that's
may
what
be.
doesn't
And
happen
honestly,
now.
there,
And that's great.
there are going to be some
Great.
people who are going to say,
It's great.
"Wow, maybe I should," because Joe Rogan said that the ideal thing. Listen, why don't we play this? Because I think something that Joe Rogan said is both outrageous and also really interesting.
And listen to what Sanjay Gupta says. Almost nothing.
I would say you've had it,
Yes.
so now get one shot of the vaccine.
No.
Why not?
Because I have better immunity than I would if I was vaccinated. Right?
Yes,
Don't I?
I think your immunity is really good.
So why, if I've already gotten through COVID and I was really only sick for a day, and then 5 days later I was negative, and I do have the natural antibodies now, why would I take a chance in getting vaccinated on top of that? You know what I think you should do? I think you should get vaccinated and then get sick.
What?
This is why. Because then you got the vaccine protects you from a bad infection, and then you get COVID, so then you get the robust immunity that's imparted from having the actual disease itself. Get vaccinated, let it wane, and hang around with a bunch of dirty people.
So hold on. So hold on. Let me just make a point here, and you can. I can already see your mouth is open. Here's the thing, Joe Rogan was saying, because Charles, you and I are actually in that position.
I'm thrilled to hear that.
we
I'm
both
thrilled
had-
to hear that Dr. Rogan said that I'm
Hold on.
basically at the top of the food
Hold
chain
on.
when it comes to antibodies.
and
that's great.
And look,
For me personally, that's
you
great.
and I both got the shot,
Yes.
and we both got a breakthrough case of COVID.
Correct.
Okay. So, what Joe is saying that I don't think he said up to this point. Joe said, I was going to get the vaccine, but I didn't get the vaccine, and he's kind of hedged.
Right.
This is the first time Joe Rogan has said the ideal situation is getting the vaccine, and then
right.
okay, but you know what? Nobody's going out to get COVID. But Joe Rogan just said, here's the best way of protecting yourself, and it starts with getting the vaccine. That could move the needle. That could move the needle.
Maybe.
Well, then maybe it's
but
good
here's-
enough for me.
okay.
That's
Here's
gonna
what I
move
didn't
the
hear-
needle, Charles, more than anything else.
Here's what I didn't
become
hear.
so tribalized. People, you go to listen to the people that you agree with. That's all you ever do. There's no civilized conversations. You have one side calling the other side stupid for not getting the vaccine. You have the other
And
side,
vice versa.
Right? And it doesn't help anything. Sure, Joe Rogan's mind
This
was
one was
never going to
civilized.
I'm
change.
sorry.
Joe
Can I-
Rogan did change.
I
I mean, he blurted this out and said the ideal situation is getting the vaccine and then getting COVID.
Agreed.
Now, nobody wants to get COVID, but if they get the vaccine,
And Joe
isn't that a win?
And Joe also said the only people he feels should get the vaccine are people who are older, people who are fat, people who have any other any other
He said that, but then
health issues. That's what he said.
I understand that, and it's somewhat inconsistent with what he had just said about get
well,
COVID.
isn't that the problem? Somewhat
Yes.
inconsistent
But
becomes
it is
the
but
problem.
that's the
factual.
headline.
There is evidence to obviously support that
look,
people with those underlying conditions
should get
have
it exactly. But here's what I
that
wish
they are the most vulnerable.
Here's what I wish
Hands
Sanjay
down.
Gupta had said back to Joe Rogan. Here's a reason to get it. Yes, you're fine, Joe. I'm fine.
I know,
Harvey,
but there
no,
are
no,
other
hold
people.
on.
I
Let me
know.
finish. All right, you're fine. I'm fine. We're not going to get sick, most likely, right?
Right.
Because we have been vaccinated,
Right.
and as Joe said, we hung around dirty people. I'm not going to name any names, and
I feel like you're talking about me.
and we got the virus. All right, so we're good. Here's a reason why you should get it, because if you're vaccinated, you're less likely to pass it on to someone. Because even though we're not going to get sick now, we
Okay.
can,
And can-
carry the vaccine
Yes.
and pass it on to someone else.
That's
That's a reason
that is
to
a
go ahead and get the vaccine.
It's a good message, and it is a complete failure of a message. They've been sending that message since the beginning of the vaccine.
Well,
and it doesn't
here
work.
was Joe Rogan's opportunity,
Well-
and
Yes.
more importantly, Sanjay Gupta's opportunity. And
Sanjay's done it
was
every
like
day.
a-
He does that every day.
Sanjay was like a little lap kitty for Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan said, "Here's what I'm going to tell you next, Sanjay. Here's what I'm going to tell you."
Sanjay
And
Gupta.
Sanjay
has-
just went.
Sanjay Gupta. I have heard Sanjay Gupta 100 times
Can you
deliver
please
that
stop
message.
making that noise?
He's
but
delivered
Joe-
that message 100 times, and it doesn't.
But why
land.
didn't he do it with Joe
Because
Rogan's
it just doesn't.
audience?
It doesn't
the people
land.
who really do
it
need to hear it.
doesn't land. And
Then
everybody.
why go on the show at all, Sanjay?
Because now all of a sudden Joe Rogan has said, the ideal situation, because people think of headlines. The headline of that whole thing is the ideal situation. And I'm not saying this is get the shot and then get COVID.
I bet you thousands of
getting
people
the
have
shot
gotten a
is the
vaccine today after listening to that episode. I truly believe that.
Babcock, you
Okay,
are
Babcock,
out
get
of
out-
control.
No,
Get outta here.
I think Babcock's right. First of all, Joe's got millions and millions and
Of
millions of
course.
people. And I think he's right because, look, there are people at home, nobody wants to get COVID. And if Joe is saying, here's the ideal scenario, how do we lose that
But Joe's
on
saying
that
if you're
one?
fat and overweight, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm fat. I'm going to go get it now because Joe Rogan said that." Like what? He
Maybe.
never, no,
And
they
if
wouldn't.
they do, that's
Maybe.
great.
But
And if
Courtney,
they do, that's
and
great.
Courtney,
But
But Harvey, he
more
never took back what he
importantly,
said.
they
there
are
people.
so at risk. People who are
But more
significantly overweight are
importantly,
so at risk for this
the
disease.
larger number, the more importantly, the people who are not fat and the people who are in shape and who are younger, what are they going to do? What's their takeaway from this?
Yeah.
But why is
What's
anybody
their
get-
takeaway?
Why is
Get a
anybody
shot and
the
get
point
COVID.
is because the point is the more people, Mike. Here's the point:
But-
the more people who get vaccinated,
Right.
the less the virus will be
Sure.
spread.
Hey, I got the
will be
vaccine the
spread.
first day I was able to.
Right.
But why are people just taking their medical advice from Joe Rogan too? What? We gotta stop
people
treating
I
trust
know
the
they
celebrities,
shouldn't.
and I
We gotta
don't
stop
Mike,
treating
I
understand
know
people
they
like
shouldn't,
stupid.
but the fact is, there's proof that people are. So let's deal with the
this
reality.
has
And the
become-
reality
this
is
has
people
become-
are. I know they shouldn't. You're
Yeah,
right. They
yeah.
It's
should
the
not.
same reason why
But
people
people do.
wanted LeBron to come out and say that he got the vaccine because
Sure,
of
those are influential
Okay,
people, and it
can we
matters what they say.
can we talk about Netflix, please?
All right, we're done.
Yeah,
Sanjay
we're not gonna
Gupta.
stop
We're
this.
never going to stop if we don't.
Sanjay
Yeah.
Pussycat
Never ends.
Gupta. I'm really disappointed.
I like Sanjay Gupta.
I love Sanjay Gupta. I
But
just
he-
wish he had
he
Not the
could've
best
done more.
stood up a
debater.
Okay,
little
we're
bit
moving
more.
on to
Could've
we're
done
moving on to
more.
Netflix.
All right, let's
Net-
go to Netflix.
Netflix and chill, or what about Netflix? No.
Yes, Courtney, why don't you tell us all about
Sure.
Netflix and chill? Instead, I tell you, we'll do Ted Sarandos first, who
Fine.
is the CEO of Netflix, very powerful man in Hollywood. He is now addressing the Dave Chappelle issue. You know that a lot of employees at Netflix were upset that that they're streaming The Closer.
Yeah.
They feel that Dave Chappelle was very offensive to people in the LGBTQ community. And Netflix has said they want their employees to voice their opinions. Well, they did. And Ted Sarandos responded to them and said, look, I understand that a lot of people are upset and they think that there was damaging language used by Dave Chappelle. And he said, and I quote, we, meaning Netflix, have a strong belief that content on screen doesn't directly translate to real world harm. So his point is, I hear you that you're upset, but you're overreacting because just because Dave said some things that may be a bit out of pocket, or not maybe, there were things that definitely were. Don't think that that's going to translate into people getting hurt in the real world.
Oh God.
These are just jokes.
So look,
That's
I'm
what
not.
Ted's
I'm
saying.
not going to agree with anybody today. First of all,
No, you
I-
agreed with Joe
never
Rogan.
do.
No,
Right.
first of all, I don't think that they should pull that.
They should not.
They should not pull it.
I agree.
Okay. Ted Sarandon is saying what you see on screen doesn't result in
Right.
violence
Right.
Mhm.
January 6th.
Well, he said.
I mean, and the
What does
lead up,
what does January 6th have to
But
do with?
time out.
Donald
That's
Trump
so
on
different.
television saying, come to
But
this
Harvey,
thing.
he
Sure,
was
but I think
calling
that's something
people. He
different. I think
was
that's
It's
something.
not.
I think
It's
that's
the
something
same.
different.
It is,
Right.
though.
Well,
People-
if there's like a call to action,
No,
that's
no,
different.
no.
They
People-
mean, do you play a video game and do you go out? Do
Right.
I
That-
play
that-
Grand Theft
that's-
Auto and then go?
That
rob
is
a
this is
cop
Harvey.
car?
this
That
is
is
co-
what
this
Ted
is co-
Sarandos is saying.
I thought
This
you were
is
gonna say kill a
commentary,
prostitute.
and
Yeah.
commentary is to change minds.
Ted Sarandos is saying that just because you see something or hear something that you may take as,
Right.
as
It's
bad
the
or
rap
negative.
Music is bad.
it's-
It's the
Right.
argument
It's that
we've had
argument. That's what he's
forever.
saying. And he's
I
saying
know
there's
what the argument is, but the point when
no,
you make
he actually, Harvey, he went on to say the reason we know this, that statement I just said, he says the reason we know this is there has been an increase in media of violence. There are more first-person shooter games, and he said violent crime has actually gone down in a lot of places in the world.
murder,
now I don't know that
murder
that's
here
true in
has
the
gone up
U.S.
through.
I don't know it's true in the
I
U.S.
know in the
It cannot
U.S.
be true.
murder
Right,
is
but-
up
okay,
like
look,
35%.
Right, and
Link
that's the
that
thing. The
to-
caveat he
you can't
used
link
was he
it.
said, in most places in the world, it hasn't gone up. Okay, we're not talking about most places in the world, Ted. We're talking about here in the United States. And I don't have the numbers to say that violent crime has gone up because of first-person shooter games, but that just seemed like a bad example to use because we have school shootings. There have been school shootings where we know that the people have gone
They
into the
play these
schools,
games.
played
Sure.
these played
What's
these games.
what's the answer then? You
I know. Do you just?
I mean,
censor
look,
every
I-
single
no,
thing?
he-
rap every
No,
action
I
movie?
like with Dave Chappelle. I think the answer to that is you have discussions about it.
At some point, people have to take responsibility for if I watch something on TV, I have to do like the research. I have to have the discussions about it. I can't just be like, oh, I saw that. Now that's going to make me do whatever I want, and I can just blame Netflix for my actions. At some point, you have to be a grown up, or parents have to like watch their kids and have conversations.
I mean,
It's how you said
we
you have
should-
to have conversations about stuff. You can't just be like, oh, it's canceled. One
Right.
person's offended.
I think you're right. And the specific thing that he's referring to was the Dave Chappelle part where he talks about hitting a transgender person in a nightclub, which we talked about this. I can't figure out if
If
he's
it happened
joking
or not, I don't.
And he
either.
made a reference to us when he said it. He said, thank God TMZ didn't run this story because they looked into it and it's like, oh, that didn't happen. Dave didn't actually hit a transgender woman.
And then he went on to make
And
it
then he
sound
said
like he did.
It made it sound like he did. So I don't know if he did, but I think the point that upset a lot of people is, did Dave just make a joke and make people think it's okay
To
if you're
hit
in a
it.
nightclub to hit
Yeah.
a transgender person?
And that's that's dangerous.
You've got to know that that's
But
I
Ted
know.
Sarandon Ted said
Well,
it's
you
not
gotta
okay.
know that
Like,
it's not
at
okay.
some
Do
point-
we-
That it's not a
So,
problem.
so-
Ted
Does
said.
Dave Chappelle
But
need to
wh-
tell you you can't drink and drive? Like,
Well, wait a minute. I
we
want to go.
should
Then,
know
then
these
I'm gonna
things.
take the other side for a second.
Of course.
When
He does.
when Donald Trump started making negative comments about Asians,
Mm-hmm.
there was a direct link and a rise in violent crime against Asians.
Mm.
So it can happen.
and I'm not saying there's not a link. I imagine that there is a link.
All
But
I'm
hasn't
saying
there
is
been-
sometimes
right.
that
No,
happens.
I imagine. But who is? And we could have the discussion. Is that on Donald Trump then, or is that on
But
the
hold
people
on.
that then?
No, the media was covering it more. There's always been tons of like hate against Asians. It was just covered more. It's
No.
always been a
No,
thing.
no, no. It went
No,
up.
no,
Courtney,
no,
it
no,
went,
no,
it went
no,
way
no,
up.
no,
It went
no.
way up.
No.
It went way up. It just did. So all I'm saying is
There's
that I do
But
think.
to Mike's point, I guess, do you put that on Trump or do you put it on?
Right.
Look, there are
Right. Short of
bad
him
you
people
put
in
it
the
on
world.
both. You put it on
Put it on
both.
both. Exactly. And so to that point, Ted Sarandos is wrong.
On
If you're
that,
gonna go by-
on that level, I think
Because
I agree.
Because then what you're saying is don't pull closer, but you don't want to pull the special, but make the point to people who are creating the content, maybe be a little more responsible with what you put out there.
But then you're censoring.
No, you
Dave
know, you're
Chappelle,
not
you are-
censoring.
you
You're not
are
censoring.
censoring,
No, you're not
Dave.
censoring.
You're
I'm not saying
contextualizing.
pull the special. I'm saying, listen, we're all having this discussion, and lots of people are having this discussion for the last 2 weeks since the special came out. Maybe that gets through to Dave Chappelle and other comedians.
But then you're neutering. You're
No,
neutering.
no, no, no,
it
no.
You're
then.
like telling
But
Dave
I'm not-
Chappelle
no,
how
if
to do
you-
his stand-up.
If I told him that he can't do it, that would be.
so
I'm
what,
just
then
saying-
you just cut it?
Listen to the conversations and do what you want. I mean, I'm not saying. Look,
So-
Dave Chappelle and every comedian should still do whatever they want to do on stage, and the marketplace will We'll deal with it.
And that's why,
There's
let's
either-
be honest, the reason the special's still up there because this is about business and Dave Chappelle.
Well,
is
there's a
making
big
that much
part. It's a
money.
big part.
And it will
Right.
be in the top 10 on Netflix
Right.
for the next 2 months.
If the people out there really want to affect change, then cancel your Netflix.
So
subscription,
look,
but you won't do it.
Right.
You won't do it.
Let's leave it at this, and you tell me. I see two different things in the Chappelle special. One is he told a lot of jokes, and some of them were at the expense of the LGBTQ community,
Yep.
but they were jokes, right? And
That's what
maybe.
people are
And
questioning.
that's-
We don't know. Yeah,
Maybe.
Maybe.
no. I'm just
Some of
talking
them-
about I don't even want to say it when he talked about the impossible blank and everything else. They were. I'm not saying it's appropriate.
Impossible Burger.
But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is there is a difference between that and then what we still don't know whether he inflicted physical
Correct.
harm on somebody.
Correct.
When there's something about physical harm where it seems real,
Yeah.
maybe there should be a disclaimer or something at the end of the show where people say, maybe somebody from Netflix and says, look, we support Dave Chappelle. We think he's a brilliant comedian, but we want to make one point, folks.
Yeah.
Remember HBO did that with films. We've seen that done.
But I
Well,
think
they
you,
went
I
back
think,
and did it.
I think you do that when there's a real issue of physical harm. But if it's
Fine
a
with that.
joke, that's what comedians do.
Well, then would Dave had to do that for the baby? Because he said the murder and it was a different type of thing. So at every joke,
No,
is there
be-
an
no,
asterisk?
no,
and you have to
no.
explain
Everybody feel
it?
that?
Not the
Everybody
baby.
feel that? We're sliding. It's a slippery slope, and we are going down, down, down,
Okay.
down.
Well,
All right,
Okay,
let's
hey,
move
look,
on.
I hope we can all agree on this. I am just outraged at the lawyer for Brian Laundrie's attorneys.
Yeah, that I think we agree.
Oh, man.
This is unbelievable. Stephen Bertolino. Bertolino. He is ripping Dog, the bounty hunter, and John Walsh. Basically calling them media whores.
Saying that they only got involved in the search, and they only got involved in the Gabby case because they want attention and they want to promote their brand, and they want new TV shows. They want
a
new
lot
TV
of people
deals.
feel this way, though.
Hey,
A lot of people
he
feel
should
this
shut
way.
up and tell his
hey
clients
guys,
to help
guys.
find
Well, he's not going to do that.
He should shut his
But
mouth. He should shut his mouth.
He's not going to do that. But
Yeah.
let's say it's true that Dog actually wants a show.
I'm sure he does.
And let's say John Walsh wants a
Right.
show.
Why wouldn't they?
So what?
Right.
I mean,
Right. Is
so
that the
what?
biggest atrocity here?
No,
There's a girl
if they,
that's dead.
If they find Brian Laundrie, so what? They should get a
Right.
show. Give them a show. If they can do what the FBI
Right,
can,
that's-
give them another show.
Right.
What do we care? If they,
Right.
it's about finding this guy, and and this family has not helped.
Nope.
And
It's infuriating.
and time is passing. The trail's getting cold.
Yeah.
And if there are more people who can help, so what?
Yeah,
This is
really,
deflection.
Gabby's
really
parents are
could have
happy.
helped? Brian's
Brian?
parents in those
Right.
first 2 days when he got a head start going wherever he was
Or
going.
Brian could have helped by this whole entire thing.
Well, Brian.
yeah.
That's a whole other
Right.
issue.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can sum that one up. That's rich. Very rich, Stephen
That was the
Bertolino.
nicest conversation we've all had.
Yeah.
It was.
The first
Yeah,
time
that
we've
was-
ever all agreed on
May,
it.
I think
It was
Didn't feel
a little
good
bit
to me.
uncomfortable.
No,
Didn't feel
I
good to
think
me.
I'm about
think-
to defend
I
Brian
think we-
Laundrie's attorney just because.
I think we might be 2 for 2. Prince William, get
Oh,
off.
We're
yeah.
not 2
get
for 2.
off.
We're not 2
Oh,
for
you're
2.
gonna
No,
agree with
I
him?
agree with
understand.
Prince William.
I think
Get
he,
off your high horse,
Right.
sir.
No, help planet Earth, Harvey Levin.
It's not one.
Exactly.
It's not one or the
Yeah,
other.
I agree.
Yes,
Exactly.
it
No.
is. It kind
Yes.
of is.
Yes.
Does it
help
have to be
planet
one or
Earth.
the other?
It doesn't
Yes.
have to
And
be
you
one
could-
or the other.
and by
So
the way,
wait,
you could argue
hold
that's
on. Let's explain what he did.
All right.
Well,
Who's going to explain?
We have the SOT, don't we?
Explique. All right. Prince William was asked about, he was on the BBC and was asked about William Shatner making history, the oldest person to go into space now. Technically an astronaut, I guess, which I think, by the way, has got to tick off real
Okay, do
astronauts.
Prince William.
All right. Anyway, so here's Prince William talking about he is not a fan of Shatner's ride into space on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin New Shepard rocket. Waste of money, waste of time, waste of brain power on this planet.
Oh, here's what he said.
For me particularly, the idea that space race is on at the moment, we've seen everyone trying to get space tourism going. It's the idea that we need some of the world's greatest brains and minds fixed on trying to repair this planet, not trying to find the next place to go and live. And I think that ultimately is what sold it for me, is that really is quite crucial. We need to be focusing on this one rather than giving up and heading out into space to try and think of solutions for the future.
I love his accent.
How interesting. So,
All right, I'm not on
Does
his
it
side
have to
now.
be
Wait,
one of
I'm
them?
sorry, why?
Here's why I'm not on his
it's
side because
absurd.
No,
and
it's
also
not.
he mixed two things. This space tourism, going up and being in zero gravity for I don't know 5 minutes. That's not getting ready to go to another planet. That's just about a thrill ride.
It's
that is-
Disneyland.
Exactly.
that's
and that's
gonna
not
hurt
the same
climate
Well, then
thing.
shut down.
And it's
Why
not the
not shut
same
down
thing.
I
Disneyland?
hate Disneyland. I think
Well, no,
it's
that you're missing the
disgusting.
point.
Oh,
You're
you just held my hand.
You're missing the
Can you two stop? What is going on? No, Mike, you and I aren't holding
She
hands.
is missing the point.
I never miss the point.
It's not. Listen, if Jeff Bezos has what $200 million, at what point do they
200
have
billion.
to
You say
be
million?
billion?
Yeah.
Billion.
Do you imagine if he woke up with 200 million, he would have a heart attack.
He could lose that in
Right.
2 hours and not
Wouldn't even
care.
know.
Okay, he has $200 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney, at what point along that route of getting $200 billion do you stop and say, okay, everything you invest in has to be climate change at that point?
When
Because
everyone has clean drinking water.
why is it on these
Because he's a
billionaires and not the
because
government?
He's a billionaire, and he's
So
the
because
only
Jeff
one that
Bezos
can
has done
do it.
Do you know how
amazingly
much
well for
money
himself,
he's
changed
given?
the
Do
world.
you know how much impact he has and how much
And he's-
money?
but
He's
Courtney,
given
given away
billions
hundreds
of
of- yeah.
dollars.
Give more.
Courtney, he's given $10 billion.
Give
Yeah.
more.
No.
Yes.
If he wants to, yes. But why are you looking at him and saying you can't
I'm
have...
also looking at Bill Gates, but he's not in the space race. He is helping planet Earth.
Wait. Bill Gates bought, I think, like an $80 million house.
Yeah.
He doesn't need that. He should have given 20. If
How's he
60
going to heat that
He
house?
should have given
Huh?
60
That's
of
where
that
he
for
does
climate change.
brainstorming.
This
He
is
probably sold
I'm
ridiculous.
her.
so tired
This
of
is
the wealthy
absurd.
people being villainized. They should pay their fair share.
We
obviously,
used to celebrate this in this country.
But because it's important.
They hate rich
It's
people
important.
in
First
this
of all,
country.
how
No,
did
but
one-
Jeff
All
Bezos
right.
is
Listen,
also
Listen,
getting
if you do want to
Bezos-
make an argument here and defend
No.
rich
Wait,
people, go
wait,
for
wait,
it.
wait.
Yes.
One question.
You know
Okay,
what?
so
I
Where's
do.
my tea?
First of all,
No.
wait.
Harvey, Jeff
Wait a
Bezos
minute.
just got so many millions of dollars from the
He
government.
gave
has,
$10 billion for
and he
climate
got
change.
more back from Blue
How did
Origin.
one
The
how
government
did
needs
one
to be
planet
spending
work
it
for the
elsewhere.
dinosaurs? How did one planet work for the dinosaurs? It's important to explore. It is very important to explore.
What
Mike,
are you talking
Hold on a
about?
second. What are we exploring?
I'm
They're
telling you.
basically exploring
Let's
Well,
just
you're talking
outside
about,
of our
you're talking about the
atmosphere.
sports. You're talking about the space
tourism.
tourism.
Bab-
There is a tremendous amount of research that happens. There are scientific research, medical research.
That could all be done on
important.
planet Earth.
Well, hold
Very
on. No,
by the way.
NASA says that's not true, by
Right.
the way.
Oh, because
And
NASA
they've
likes
made-
to play in space, probably.
NASA said that's not true, and they've had a lot of advances on medicine going into outer space.
And how about
But
winning
wait
the
a minute. But wait a
dream?
minute. Let's just for a second.
Oh, Mike,
Let's
shut
just
up.
say it's
Wanting
pure
to
folly.
dream.
Let's say it's pure folly. Okay, that it's just a lark. The way Disneyland's a lark. The way Six Flags is a lark. The way going to see the Rolling Stones is a lark.
Easy.
So what? If they want to spend their money on a lark and create a business, and that's the only thing it does,
Right.
so what?
Okay,
Right.
that's fine,
And
but
that's
then
why
don't
I
take
don't.
money
And
from
that's
the
why I do
government.
not agree. Getting back to Prince William, he mixed two things. Space tourism is purely a business to make some money,
Right.
so people go up. That's not the same thing as pumping billions of dollars into how do we get to the moon and set up a colony? How do we get to Mars and set up a colony? That's what he's talking about, and that's not what happened yesterday. So
And maybe that's
he made
what-
an argument about
Yeah.
something that wasn't going on.
It's
I mean,
ridiculous. It's just. And
so
by the
to
way,
me, it sounds like he was just reaching to make a
and but,
statement.
That's not
hey, well, then
true.
Courtney, what about William going to his grandmother and saying, "Sell those damn jewels because they're
Right.
worth and millions, and
Yeah,
you
the
can
jewels that
and
you
you
can
can
get-
get
the
and you
jewels
can
that you
use
stole
climate
from
change. How
Africa,
about
by
that?
the way.
How
How
about
about
that?
that? The
They're
jewels that came.
beautiful
How about that?
jewels.
You know where those
No,
jewels came
those
from?
bring in so
Came from
much money
Africa when they when
tourism.
Oh, well,
when
so
the
does
British
going
Empire
into
was
space.
Not yet.
overrunning Africa,
$250,000
taking
a
slaves,
pop.
taking jewels.
Oh my God, all these little fingers in my face. I want to freak out.
Why are they gotta be little fingers?
Right.
What the-
Have you seen the size of his? No comment.
What?
Okay, Jonah Hill.
By the way, how much did you give last week for climate change?
500. Well, I donated to Smile Train. I had an incident last weekend where I had to make good.
What? Oh, please! Oh, do tell.
Wait,
No. We have to delve a little bit deeper here.
What?
What
Nope.
incident and how were you making good?
I donated money to Smile Train.
because
I had to just clear my conscience with something. We're not getting into this. We're talking about Jonah Hill.
Okay,
We're moving
we'll
on
come
to
back
Jonah
to the
Hill.
smile
Okay,
train a
Jonah
little bit
Hill.
later. Jonah Hill. A lot has been said about Jonah Hill and his weight loss and his weight gain. A lot of times has to do with his roles. roles in movies. Roles, R-O-L-E-S.
Oh, I was like, wow, that's very
man.
insensitive
I
when we're
know,
talking
right?
about
Like,
switch.
You're the one that
Charles.
stopped talking.
Sorry. Because I heard myself. I was like,
I
that was
know.
not good. So Jonah is finally addressing this directly with his fans. He went on Instagram. He said, I know you mean well, but I kindly ask that you not comment on my body. Good or bad, I want to politely let you know it's not helpful and doesn't feel good.
Someone else needs to talk. This is so annoying to me.
You know, I want to
I-
say something because you know what? It's like people are different, and you know what I've been seeing people I haven't seen in a year and a half,
Yep.
and if somebody has really, I'm not saying here, I'm saying just in
Well,
general.
these are the people like we're in the office. These
No,
are
no,
the
no.
people you have. Okay.
No,
tread lightly. Go ahead.
I'm just making a point. I mean, I've seen a couple of people that actually just really started to work out,
Yeah.
and during the pandemic, and they look different and they look great,
Right.
and I've complimented them, and all of them have appreciated that.
Right.
Now
Mhm.
that said, he doesn't, and I think he has every right
Doesn't
to
Right,
speak.
and
appreciate
it's
the
stra-
comments,
it's
right.
Doesn't
strangers
appreciate
a
the
lot of
comments,
time.
By the way,
but-
he said
but we
good or
shouldn't-
bad.
Yeah, and
Right.
we shouldn't say, "Oh, Jonah's wrong," because that's Jonah's feelings,
Because-
and he's expressing his
You
feelings.
have people who say since he lost a lot of weight,
Yes.
he's not as funny. You hear that all the time.
I
and-
know, but look,
No,
if
it's hurtful.
we just
I
don't.
have people that DM me and say, "Hey, you're fat," or "I don't like your hair." It doesn't feel good.
No,
Like,
no,
think
one
what-
hurts
no,
you
but
think what
worse.
he gets.
I think the
Think what he
twist.
gets.
I think the twist to this
Hair,
is
hair
you're not
comments
supposed
hurt
to
him the
say
most.
you look good.
Correct.
That's the twist.
Correct.
what do you
and that's what
say?
Jonah said.
You
And
look fit?
and
so-
you respect that,
right,
you say
because
you look
he's
fit
asking
then?
politely.
You respect it.
He's
you
asking
just
politely.
respect
Just respect it. That's it.
But at
Just
the same,
like, listen,
at this-
I've asked you several times, don't use the N-word. You don't because you're respecting me. That's
well,
great.
no, we didn't before Charles.
I thought you were gonna say, "Don't
Oh
call you
my
Chaz."
God.
Daddy."
You're
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jeez.
But same point. Why are you waiting? Why are you getting hot, Mike?
Yeah, we're about to leave.
Mike's like, oh. No,
You
but
are. You're
my
so
point
red
is,
right now.
no, my point. I'm kidding. Nobody's used the N-word.
It's true.
But the point is, he's asked politely, so let's all just
Now,
respect
okay,
it. And,
and-
no
and-
more comments about Jonah Hill's
No,
body.
no more comments. But yesterday, a friend of mine, who's on television, who is at one of the stations,
Mhm.
he lost a. Say it? No, I'm going to say it.
He's in such good
No, I'm
shape
going to say
now.
it. I'm going to say it. Alex Michelson is an anchor at Channel 11.
Yeah,
And
ATTV.
somebody sent me a link, and he ended up being on Men's Health.
I read the article.
And he had gained, like, I think he said 30 pounds. And then he said,
Alex never looked.
Right.
But anyway,
he,
okay.
he said his pants split on the air. And at that moment, he said he changed his life.
Courtney, stop laughing.
And ever since December,
That's
he's
funny.
been working out. He's
Yeah.
been eating healthy, not drinking and all. And they ended up, I mean, he looks great. And they put him on
Wow, you lost
I
Courtney. You
know,
lost
not
Courtney at the not
drinking.
I know,
drinking.
but hold on.
Yeah.
I called him yesterday and I said, or I texted him and I said, hey, congratulations on that. You look great. Why? That's not,
Well,
But I
okay,
think
hold
once you
on.
do a
Here's
Men's
there's
Health
a difference,
spread, you're-
right?
you're able to
he
comment.
went in, he did a shoot with Men's Health, so obviously you know that he's going to be fine with compliments.
Mhm.
It's a different context.
okay, so if you see somebody you haven't seen during the pandemic and they're not in a
I
magazine,
got to tell you something.
Could-
I
do you ever s-
not ever comment on.
you never say, hey, you look great.
No,
never
and
say.
I
it.
try
And by
and
the
get him
way,
to tell me all the time, and
people-
he never does.
Yeah.
Courtney. No, and to be honest, people have said it to me, and my first reaction, they're like, "God, you looks like you've lost weight," and I go, the first thing I think is,
Was I?
wait,
Yeah.
Okay, you're like,
was
was
I
fat
heavy before?
Yeah.
What? Because, and I don't know if I've lost weight. I don't. Unlike some people, I don't weigh myself every morning and go, "Oh,
Do
my
you
gosh, did I-"
weigh yourself
Every
morning?
morning, you
Really?
come and you go like, "Oh, I'm down 1/8
Did I?
of a-"
Have I said that to you this week?
No, you don't say it anymore because we mocked you mercilessly
don't
last
do-
time you
oh,
did.
When's
you-
the last time you weighed yourself?
Honestly,
Oh, honestly, a week ago.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I weigh myself to
Were you
about.
at 145?
I'm not going to get into this. What are you trying to win a tie?
Let's
All
not
right.
start guessing weight
Listen,
here.
yeah, let's not start doing
No.
that. But what we should guess is, tell me about the Smile Train.
Oh no. I see
Yeah,
what you're doing.
tell me
No,
about the
it's
Smile
a
Train.
very good charity organization that everyone should donate to.
And I'm glad that you did.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know why you did.
Well,
No.
don't bully her. Come on.
I'm not bullying. I'm asking politely, just like
So
Jonah
is
Hill
it-
If I
asked
is the
ever
politely.
smile
lose-
chain? Is that
Chapelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
It's great.
Okay, then I'm going to pitch. I'm not mending kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted. They do the same thing.
But
and
just
they're-
know
it's a
I'm
great
not Jonah
organization.
Hill. If I ever look like I've lost weight, please tell me.
Say it.
It's always appreciated.
All right, so you're doing the opposite. You want Jonah Hill to know that
Oh, I
it's
thought you were just
okay
about
for
to tell
him.
me I look
Compliments
good,
are
but
okay,
no,
yeah,
no,
I
we're
think
doing
so.
that.
Now see what
No, I'm not
happened,
doing
and
that.
now you feel bad.
I know, I feel bad. 'Cause I'm like, did I happen to not
Right, do you
lost
not
weight?
think she looks good?
I know.
Okay, that's going to do it, folks. You can get your podcast either
Get
wherever
this
you
podcast.
want.
You can get this podcast.
Right.
On Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere else you get your podcast. We will be back here 3 times a week, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Don't miss an episode.